Yo, what's up, people? This is Vaughn B. This is my man Ricky, and this is the UN podcast. Oh, gotta. There we go. All right. How's your day going there, Rick?
So far so good. It's raining right now, but what
Yeah.
can you do?
Raining in LA. Yeah. The thing about it is, like, I'll keep telling people that this is kind of how the weather used to be. You know, April's used to be really rainy. That's why they call it April showers,
hmm
right? And so I don't know. It's is maybe this is just a return to how the past a little bit. So I don't know. Yeah, it's making the grass grow. So that's all good and all
That's
that.
true.
Yeah. All right. So our first topic of the day is the question that I put on the title was, do you prefer older games, movies, or TV shows? Right. It's like in terms of your entertainment. We both of us are not necessarily black pilled on the newer stuff, but it's not what it's not exciting us in terms of there's certain things like Shogun is good, but it seemed like that stuff is far in between. Monarch was good, but everything else is kind of like
I think they're thinking too much. Trying to make agendas and everybody's people's agendas. Rather just keep it simple. That's it.
hmm yeah. Right. So lately, we have been a lot of discussions on uh like the Sweet Baby Ink stuff and all that other stuff. When we're kind of starting to find out why all of this stuff is happening in actual the movies and all this other stuff, because the people that are doing it can't shut up about it.
Eh, now you're talking about that. A lot of the Asian movies are beating Hollywood now.
Yeah,
You seen that?
yeah,
And they're just going. They're not going making the way of like agenda stuff or whatever their private life private life is.
yeah,
They just making a real story.
yeah,
The Japanese, Koreans are making these good movies about ancient wars and all this stuff. It's pretty bad. And I
yeah,
believe
yeah.
Netflix has a lot of Asian movies too.
hmm
So I think the Asian movies are beating them. Just being
Yeah.
my honest opinion.
Was it Netflix is betting really big on them too?
Yeah, you seen
So
that? They
yeah,
have a lot of movies there.
mhm.
Sometimes I don't know what the hell they're saying, but it looks good.
Well, like, all right. I think what it is people still want the same stuff. Like the thing that
Yeah, you
people
want
say a
the old
lot.
stuff.
Hmm?
You want like the old stuff, the old movies.
Yeah, because all right, they got this thing called the hero's journey, right? So it basically describes how most stories work, right? You introduce the hero, then he has a problem, then it gets to the point where it looks like he can't solve the problem, and eventually he makes his way out in the end, right? That is how they have been telling stories forever. Back when it was like cavemen and they had a dude making up stuff about how someone caught a buffalo or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, and because that's just how humans work. And what's crazy is you got all these people who keep thinking that we are different now. It's like, no, we're basically the same people that we've always been. We have more technology.
It should
It's
be
just
better, but it's not.
no, it's the same stuff. Women are the same, men are the same, everything is the same. So they told stories a certain way because it worked. Because that's how it was. Like I said, when you're around when someone is orally telling you a story, they tell it the exact same way as if they write it down in the book. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens, and you're satisfied with
It's
the
a
story,
what do you call it? Chronological order, right?
right? Man, you can play with the formula, but you have to work around that same structure. So when you try to do stuff that's different, it tends not to work because it goes against that basic structure of stories.
Well, you were studying more than that, right? You were like a writer. You trying to study like narrative stories,
Well,
narrative.
yeah, I was animation and all that
Yeah.
stuff, but this
So
is
you understand more of a little bit more of that stuff.
yeah, but it's basic human nature. So it's like we haven't changed. So like if I tell you a story, I'm gonna tell if it's entertaining to you, I'm gonna tell it to you in a certain way. And we've refined what that is over the years as we figure out, well, how come this particular story works as opposed to this one, like this other one. Yeah, that's that. And like once you truly understand it, then you can have certain things that break the rules a little bit, but you still have to exist within those confines because
Yeah.
that's how the human brain works. So, and a lot of these people don't truly understand that. Dude, they don't. All right. One of the things that is an indication of that is this. All right. So there's you probably have no idea who this company is, but you know who Street Fighter is, right?
Of course, I played it
Okay.
when I was a kid.
All right. So Capcom is the people who make Street Fighter. All right. So let me show you this. And this is an indication of what I am talking about. And like this is a person who is one of these folks. It's just like all the other stuff I've been telling you about.
Who
How
created that game? Japanese?
yeah, it's a Japanese company.
Okay.
Right. So they've been having issues because all right, what's happening in terms of anime is all right, you know what a localization is?
No.
Okay. So it's like translating something into English, right? But what they do is a little bit beyond that. Is there are certain things that like there are certain words like in Spanish
Hmm.
that if you say it in English, it doesn't have this quite the same effect because it means a little different in Spanish than the English word for it is.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same thing. So there'll be jokes that are culturally relevant to Japanese people that won't work in English. So what the localizer does is he converts that joke into the equivalent in English. All right. So there are certain things that will be okay in Japan, but that won't be okay in America. All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So these people, a lot of them don't speak any Japanese, which is crazy to me. So, but they get like the translation of it. So they get the entire translation. So what they have been doing a lot lately is they're adding certain elements to stuff that's not exactly the original in the original story, right?
Hmm.
And the people who kind of flock to this particular thing tend to be more on the left side of the voting spectrum, right? So because they believe something is true, they work under the impression that it is what's normal, right? So people are starting to notice because when they look at the sub, it's like so there is dub and is sub. Subtitles is like what you're saying with the Korean dramas and they got words at the bottom. Those are subtitles.
Hmm.
So you're reading exactly well for the most part what this person is saying just in
Yeah.
English, right? So a dub is that's where their localization comes in. So they'll put their own words in, right? So there's been a lot of issues lately because people have started noticing because you get people who speak Japanese and they're like, dude, that's not what they said. That's not even what they're talking about. It's like you're adding your own thing to that. So people have
Yeah,
been getting
I seen that sometimes when they're trying to translate it, like in Spanish and
mhm,
English.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I know what you mean now.
right. So then you get someone who sees the world in a different way, interpreting something that's not there, and they're adding their own thing. You know,
So, what basically what they're doing with Street Fighter then?
All right. So the reason why I brought this is a person who works at Capcom. All right, and get to this. So all right. In a social media post, Capcom's localization team outlined their focus on cultural sensitivity, inclusive language, and tailoring content to modern audiences. For many, this signals force changes to cater to diversity, inclusion, and equity. Activists, rather than faithfully conveying the original creative vision, coming amidst larger debates and around DEI practices in gaming, and the reaction reflects consumer concern that ideological agendas are overriding quality translations. Right. So this is basically what they're saying. Embark on a global adventure through the lens of game localization or beyond translation. We're diving into the art of cultural adaptation, preserving context, inclusive storytelling. Join us as we unravel the intricacies that make games resonate worldwide. It isn't about translating words; it's about adapting the game for a global audience, then cultural nuances, idioms, and regional thing, like just like I just described to you. Right. So see where I can get to where the issue is. So each language is unique structure. All
I
right.
don't remember Street Fighter talking that much.
No. But what I'm saying, but that was the example of so you will know who Capcom is.
Mhm.
Okay. So the character design of it must be culturally sensitive, may be acceptable in one culture, may be offensive in another. It's like crucial to ensuring that characters are relatable, blah blah blah. Localization efforts extend to promoting inclusivity through language and representation. This involves adapting not only the linguistic aspects, but also addressing gender specific language, cultural norms, blah blah blah. All right. So, all right. Uh, so this guy is who I talked to you about last week. All right. So he was a developer, and he's pointing all this stuff out. All right. So what is happening is like I said, people are noticing this stuff and are starting to get really pissed off about it because I'm watching this. I'm not watching this to listen to be lectured by some person who lives in San Francisco or whatever who's trying to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life. I am interested in it because this is a Japanese anime.
Mhm.
So I am interested in Japanese culture. So I want to listen to this from their perspective, not your perspective.
But why do you think they do that?
It's the same reason they do it in movies and they do it in everything else is because they have a certain point of viewpoint that
But that's the problem, right? They
yeah,
shouldn't be, they should just keep it to a base just basic, but people's trying to put their agenda into stuff that people want to watch, but
right.
that's the problem.
Yeah. So the crazy part is the Japanese companies, a lot of them don't even know that this is happening.
How how would that how would that, they would not know that?
No, because they put the product out in Japan. So it's
Okay.
like, all right, we want to bring it over to America. So it's just like they bring it over to America, they bring it over to Brazil, they bring it over to England, yada yada yada, right? So there's a team who doesn't actually work for them. They just they localize it. So if they bring it to Mexico, there's a Spanish team, right? It's like another company, and they will just translate it into Spanish. So if you got people who
How
are
about the owner of the Capcom? That can they decide that, or they have no
well,
say?
they're starting to, like what's happening is they're starting to figure out that this is happening. But it's like if you're in a you made a product, right? And you shipped it over to this other country and you kind of pay attention to it a bit, but you got all these other issues that you're worrying about. So you're not really, this is just a trivial thing. This is just a translation into another language thing.
Oh, so they're trying to be sneaky.
Right. Yeah. So these blue-haired freaking weirdos who always talk about inclusion, but inclusion only means people who are like me, right? Not me, but like people who think like they do, because that's the world that they live in. Because everybody that they know thinks that way, and everybody that they talk to thinks that way, so they think everybody else thinks that way. I'm
Oh,
like, but that's not the case. So what's happening is because of the AI stuff that I would keep telling you about, that's going to start to do that job for them because once the Japanese companies started finding out about this stuff, they're like, bro, it's like, why are you changing my story? And because that's essentially what
How
they're
did
doing.
they find out? By a lot of complaints?
Yeah. So they start getting complaints. And this is how, like, the thing with the community manager thing that I was telling you about before, how they control what gets funneled up to the company. So the company don't even hear about none of this stuff. It gets stopped by these same people. So it's like they gravitate to these certain positions and they start doing all this stuff. So and
Well,
you
yeah,
can't
I'll be
figure out.
upset too if I was the owner of that and they're trying to change my product.
Yeah. So and so now these same people are complaining because they're starting to lose their jobs. I'm like, bro, nobody told you to do this. Like, you're doing this. And then now you're upset that the people who you're doing, like, the customers are upset. So imagine you are like, we're selling a product, right? And it's sold in France. And then all of a sudden we get all these crazy emails on, like, why'd you change this character? And blah, blah, blah. And you're looking at like, what the hell are you talking about? We ain't changed anybody.
Well, of course, I'll be upset if I'm the owner.
Right. So then you're like, what the hell are you doing? It's like, why are you doing this? And but they don't see it that way. They see it that is we have to be inclusive to everybody. I'm like, dude, you're not being inclusive to everybody. You're being inclusive to people who think like you.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody else who just wants to play the game or wants to think the thing. So
Yeah,
I think that go ahead.
no, it's true. You just want to play the game and play with your friends or just kick back, relax.
Right.
But
So I think that is what's leading up to, like, let me show you this. This is a Variety article. Right. So Gen Z ranks watching TV movies as fifth among top 5 entertainment activities. All right. So
yeah,
is it showing? Oh, probably should show it. That probably help. Right. So the conversation that I had with someone today was basically a lot of stuff is changing because all the AI stuff and all this other thing. And us older generations, we can have our issues with it, but like it doesn't really matter because we don't represent the future. We represent the past. All right. So what represents the future is Gen Z and Gen Alpha and everything that comes like behind us. And they're not watching movies. They're not coming because I think they're getting kind of sick of all this stuff too. It's like they just want to play things. And if you look at older stuff, and this is why this is probably happening, is none of that stuff is in it. It's just a story. Like, you may not like the
yeah.
story,
Command and Conquer, right? Like that game's still popular.
right? So it's just because none of that stuff is in there. It's just
Yeah,
a thing.
it's just a basic. I still remember the old one, the Command and Conquer. That was one of the best games.
Yeah. But that's another weird thing about it is given what the level of technology was when we were younger, it's like, not to change the subject, but when we were younger, we didn't really have an option but to look at stuff from the past.
No, no, not really. That's true.
Right. So it's kind of crazy that now that we're getting into a generation of people who have this option, they're still doing that same thing that we used to do because we didn't have that much of an option. Remember, a new movie comes out, there's no video, there's no videotapes of it. It's like Star Wars comes out. If you get someone who had a reel to reel, that's when you get to watch it again, or if it came on television.
Or you remember Blockbuster?
Yeah,
You
but I'm
go
talking
rent
about, like, dude,
something
for me,
for yeah.
yeah, for me, before it was before Blockbuster. So if you had a VCR, I don't know, in the 80s, if your parents had enough money to buy a VCR, then you can record it on TV. And then once you record it on TV, then you can watch it whenever
Yeah.
you want.
Oh, they're like
But
$3 to rent a movie for the new movies that are coming out, and you rent it
yeah,
for like $2, $3.
bro, because to buy it was like 150 bucks in 1980s money.
Yeah. And then I
Which,
think if they give you rent it for 2 days, and after the 2 days you have to return it back. And if now they
yeah,
charge you like like $5 of a
right.
late fee.
Right. So now you got folks who have that option to just everything is on the table. And what do? They watch all the old stuff. And the reason why they watch all the old stuff, because it doesn't have any of this crap in it. So these people, same people, like the one I just showed you, is like they don't seem to get that. Is it's like, yeah, you can push whatever thing that you're pushing, but that don't mean people have to listen to you.
It's
So
like the
they're choosing not
Nintendo,
to.
right? The old Nintendo's trying to make a comeback.
Hmm?
The old Nintendo, a lot of people want to play that. The old
Bro, there
Nintendo.
there is a you know about retro gaming, right?
No,
Retro gaming is that's what like it's
you
all
mean
old.
retro? You mean back old games, right?
Yeah, this I'm talking it everything. All the stuff you there are certain like you can certain websites you can go to where you can play like old DOS games in your
Okay,
browser.
like Zelda.
And no, no,
Remember
no, no,
Zelda?
no, dude. I am talking about DOS like PC games like back in the day stuff. And you can play it in your browser. So you can play like old games and no, but they like it's old consoles. They sell for a ridiculous amount. I think there was and I heard just the other day. It was what was it? In the case, Zelda is like it was a Zelda game in the case, and it sold for I think $10,000 or something like that.
I believe it.
So it's just like this retro stuff is I don't know it's interesting but back to what the topic at hand though. It is interesting to me how given the fact that the people with the most options are choosing to do the same stuff that we had no option and we did. Because I was like we had cartoons, so that was the new stuff. But then after cartoons, you had Elvira, and she showed monster movies. All of them from most of them were black and white from like the 40s and whatever. Then you had the Three Stooges, which was back in the day, and then you had Godzilla, which was maybe the 70s or something like that. So
Yeah.
we, yeah. So it's interesting to me that given all the choices, they're still doing the exact same thing that we were doing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like dude. I watched Bonanza, I watched like all that old stuff. So it's like it's not different, but it's weird that given all the options, they're still doing the exact same thing. So it's like, are we just nostalgic for the simpler times?
It could be also the older people are buying the older stuff. They're more into that now.
Well, I don't know. So, all right. So, yeah, all right. They did like a poll, and about 26% of Gen Z said video games are. Let me switch over. Video games are like the thing that they play. So their top entertainment is video games. 80% of those in age bracket say they play video games daily or weekly. That's followed by listening to music, browsing the internet, and engaging in social media. Only 10% of the Gen Z respondents said watching TVs or movies was their favorite entertainment pastime. And for every other age group, that remains the top pick, including millennials, 18%, Gen Xers, 29, and boomers, 39. So it's like I saw a thing where it was an article about how during the streaming wars, everybody was fighting amongst each other. What they should have been worried about, like, was YouTube, because YouTube also allows you to watch. Yeah, YouTube also allows you to watch a wide variety of things,
Hmm.
and it is because of the algorithm, it is tailored exactly to you. So it's YouTube. So it's kind of how it works. But so all right. There's another poll here. Let me switch over to this. It says all right, Gen Xers feel the entertainment divide between boomers and Gen Z adults. So I guess we use more subscriptions and free online services than baby boomers, and we watch more. So I don't know. This is kind of like similar to the other one, I guess. I So, what do you think? It's like you think
Well,
this is how
I'm
we?
biased because I'm older, so I like the old stuff.
Well, no, no. What my question is? It's like, do you think this is how we operate? Where and we just didn't notice it before because we didn't have options. So we
We
just
didn't have, well, no, we didn't have options. We didn't.
right.
There was only
So
one thing, and that's it, basically. Now
right.
there's
So
so much, so many things, different stuff now.
yet they do the exact same thing we did, except their old school stuff is the 80s and the 90s. So all it's like if you look at the top rankings of stuff on Netflix, yeah,
Mhm.
it's all 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah,
So and it's
I believe France is there. Is it France?
Friends, The Office,
Yeah, I
that
never
kind of
watched
stuff.
those shows, but I know they were popular back then.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me that
I'm
that is the
surprised
case.
Married with Children's not there.
Oh, I think it is.
Very Married with Children was popular.
I do see people talking about it.
Yeah, Al Bundy and then what was his son name? Butts?
But
Was it Butts?
fire truck just came by.
Yeah, you remember the son? What was his name? Butts?
Bud.
Yeah, Bud. Oh yeah, Bud.
Dude, this is something that they probably couldn't put on, on like you could
Yeah,
probably
and then
throw reruns of it, but I don't you couldn't make a show like that. There's a lot.
the it was the Jeffersons, and
Yeah.
then the daughter was like a really dumb, but she was pretty.
Yeah. But that was pretty much a common staple though.
Yeah, that's insane.
So I don't know. It's weird that people are like you get people who aren't young enough to actually have been more than small children are nostalgic for stuff that came out when they were small children.
Yeah.
Like my godson is watching Avatar right now, and that cartoon came out before he was born. So he's 11 years old and he's already doing that. He's basically watched most of the Simpsons. So the new stuff that he watches is on YouTube and anime. I
But
couldn't get
then
him to
that means
buy this.
YouTube is gonna be basically your TV now.
Well, there's a growing number of people, myself included, as you can see behind me, they have YouTube on their television. So most people watch it on their phone for now, but I think that's going to be how that's gonna be.
But you have to remember too, YouTube is free, but how long will it last to be free?
They make money. They make money off of ads. They make a ridiculous amount of money
Yeah.
off of ads, actually. So, and I was looking at this. I was looking at Nerdrotic, and they were talking about this. Is like they're the biggest thing that with them is that they started with the ads, like so it's baked in. So people are just used to them because that's how it always was. And you got all these streaming services who are realizing that they need to add the ads back because that's how you make the most amount of money. You don't make money off of someone giving you like $20 a month. You don't really make enough money to justify having a streaming service.
It's advertisement.
Right. Which is crazy. It's like that's what they had. So they had that on regular television. So instead of figuring out how to make that appeal to younger generations, they decided to go in all in on streaming because they wanted to be Netflix. And they didn't realize that the reason why Netflix was because there was only one Netflix.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Especially on 2020.
hmm?
Especially on 2020 when the COVID year, Netflix was
Right.
so big.
Yeah. So it was like you have everything in one spot. And people are willing to give you money for that. They're not willing to give you money for a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit over here and a little bit over there. And then everything else you have on. You have the office, but then you have a bunch of crap nobody cares any bit about at any capacity with. So like yourself, they just cut it off.
Yeah, it's true.
So I don't know. All right. The next thing, we're gonna look at a little video of this guy who's talking about the CinemaCon, which just happened in Las Vegas, and they showed some things for Captain America 4, Captain Black Falcon American guy.
Oh,
All
so
right.
it's gonna be Captain America, the Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah. And which is annoying to me is that that character, the Falcon, has been around since the 70s, right? He's his own character. And I don't they didn't have to change it. So I don't know. Well, I know why they did it because, it's the time that we live in. And for some reason they believe that black characters have no merit. So, dude, it's the truth. It's like
Well, I'm surprised they don't make Batman African American, right?
they did.
They did.
Uh, yes. He like there's a version of him. All right. So, the Batman movies, right?
Yeah.
And the guy who actually runs Wayne Enterprises is Lucius Fox. All right.
Mm-hmm.
His son is named Luke. So in the comic books, Luke is Batwing. He found an old Batman costume and he became a crime fighter, and he's part of the Bat family by extension. All right. So there's some, I don't know if it's alternate or I don't know what it is, but I think it's in New York City. He is the Batman for New York City. I think that's how that story goes. So
But I'm talking about in the movies. You're talking about in the comics.
right, but everything starts like, dude, the Falcon as Captain America started in the comic books. It didn't like people didn't like it then, but they're still trying it now. So stuff starts like that and eventually makes its way into the movies.
Yeah, if I was them, I would have kept the Falcon and then made another actor do Captain America and continue it. You know what I mean?
The Yeah.
I would have been much
So
better. Just that's a character as a Falcon. He's the Falcon, and then Captain America, and make a new movies about it. Just find another actor.
yes, that's what they should have done. But again, just like the localization people, their thought process is not where normies are at.
So
So
basically, if they make that movie and it fails, they're gonna be blaming us, right, for not watching it.
pretty much, yeah, is we're all races, even though I'm black. So I'm a black racist, even though like I don't want I like Falcon. He's a really good character.
Yeah, I like
He's a
them.
character in
Yeah.
the MCU. You could have made a Falcon movie because he was in military. So and like if they would have they did a combination of the Ultimate Universe Falcon and the like regular Marvel Universe Falcon. They kind of combined them into one person. So that's what the MCU Falcon is, right? In the alternate, like in the uh, uh yeah, Ultimate Universe Falcon, he's a scientist. So he's a really smart dude. So he designed the suit, like the wings and all that. So he designed that in the Ultimate. Yeah, he's a spy, which would have been freaking cool if they would have did that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should have just kept it like that. Like they
Yeah.
have different actors for Batman, they have actors for Superman. They should have
Hmm.
just kept them and kept it rolling, but they just want to change stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, they have no faith in actual original black characters.
so when is that movie coming out?
February of 2025.
Oh, okay. Oh,
But what's crazy, I saw someone talking about it today, and they couldn't figure out why they decided to put it in February. And they just kept talking, and I'm like,
I know
really?
why.
I'm like, you don't understand why they put the black guy in Black History
Black
Month?
History,
You're like, you
February.
don't. No, they were just talking. I'm like, they just didn't understand why. Like, why would they put it out in February? So they're like, all right, well, Deadpool came out in February, and I'm like, really? You just don't get why the black dude in the movie is not it? Like, really? I'm like, okay. It must be nice to be that naive. So, all right. So this channel is called Channel Awesome. All right. So I don't know how much he's gonna talk about because I don't really look through it. But
with that, but it was funny to hear Kevin
so
Feige go on about how
talking
big
about
a fan he
Deadpool.
was of these crazy popcorn
Emergency
buckets.
Awesome, that's the name of
Anthony
this channel.
Mackie did say that the movie would inform the direction of the future of all Marvel movies, but it wasn't totally clear what he meant by that or if he's just hyping the movie up. Because Anthony Mackie, if you've never heard him talk about stuff, he hypes everything up big time. He also made fun of Tom Holland for telling him back in the day that he would never get. If you remember, many years
Hi, we're Visible. We're the wireless company with nothing to hide. Seriously, hidden fees?
commercials.
ago, famously at the
I'm
time, the
looking
role
for
of
some
Rhodey
clips,
had been
but
the very beginning of the.
all right. You know who that is?
Uh, that's Captain, the real Captain America.
No, that is Thunderbolt Ross. All right. So he was in he was basically in the Captain America, like that character was in the Captain America movies and the Hulk. So that's the guy that was chasing the Hulk around. So that's
Oh, that's old.
Betsy, like that's
I have to
hmm?
rewatch that. I can't remember.
No, that character, not that act, not that's Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say that's Harrison Ford there.
right. So the original so this is goes back to your casting thing. So the original actor, he'd passed. So they recast it as Harrison Ford. So like, well, if you can recast Thunderbolt Ross, why can't you recast Black Panther or Captain America or
Yeah.
anybody else? All right. So basically, who he is he became president of the United States, right? And he's having, and this is kind of what the story is about, somewhat. Where, and I've just heard a little bit where he saves his life, and then they got a back and forth and all this other stuff, and someone is trying to kill the president, which is him. He eventually, now this character eventually becomes the Red Hulk. So he takes he takes something that gives him the Hulk powers. So he becomes the Red Hulk. So I don't know which direction they're gonna go in the story, but all right. So I'm just trying to get
but what he just did in Mexico on a mission that he came back from changed his mind. It's very different from the reason why they recast the Rhodey character. If you didn't realize, a couple years ago, William Hurt passed away after a battle with
that was
cancer.
the original guy.
As the scene continues, Thunderbolt Ross tells Sam Wilson he's generally not a fan of superheroes, but what he just did in Mexico on a mission that he came back from changed his mind. And now Thunderbolt Ross wants Sam Wilson's Captain America to help rebuild the Avengers team, confirming that there has been no active Avengers team since the end of Avengers Endgame, meaning that the meeting they had at the end of the Shang-Chi post-credit scene was technically not the Avengers. Bruce Banner's Hulk told him, "Welcome to the team." We all thought that meant he was being welcomed to the Avengers team. Apparently, they're not.
All right. What I'm a little confused on, who do you think is, given the character that they have access to, because, you know, all the ones who died or got to it or whatever, who do you think they're going to put in the Avengers?
Black Panther, the girl.
Okay.
Miss Marvel. Black Widow.
Oh, she's
I mean, Miss Marvel. What's her name? The one that.
Okay, so Black Widow is dead, and the her sister, Iana, or is the White Widow, and she is going to be in the Thunderbolts movie if they actually make that.
Thorn.
Okay.
And the Incredible Hulk.
They got She-Hulk.
Man.
Yeah.
They still have some actors.
Right. Would you want to see that?
If it's Avengers, sometimes I want to still see it.
Okay.
But if I don't like it, I'll say it. But even though it's a Marvel's Avengers, the last couple of movies it hasn't been that good. But I still want to see it.
Okay.
Except for the last one, I didn't see it. The Miss Marvel.
Oh. All right. So let's see what else they got to say.
Not calling themselves the Avengers anymore. But it's an example of how there are still members of the core Avengers team that are still alive and doing things, but everyone's kind of been off doing their own thing in their own movies, like Thor and Love and Thunder, Hulk in the Shang-Chi movie, then She-Hulk. Scarlet Witch's body was destroyed in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Her consciousness is stuck in an alternate dimension right now. In White Vision, still processing his original memories that were unlocked during the WandaVision series. Also, we've seen in the past that Thunderbolt Ross has been willing to work with superheroes like the Avengers, even though he's talking to Skrull Rhodey here during Avengers Infinity War without realizing it. The whole idea is that he'd been working with the Avengers team since before the events of Captain America Civil War.
All right. Do you know about that?
No.
Okay. So they decided in the Secret Invasion television show that Rhodey has been a Skrull ever since he got hurt back in Civil War. Right? To show you how stupid that is, Rhodey would the reason that in Secret Invasion that they were upset with Nick Fury is because he couldn't find them a planet. Okay. Now, Nick Fury, who is an Earthling who had limited access to spacefaring technology, they're upset with him because he made a promise that he gonna find him a planet and he didn't. Okay.
That's a terrible series, man.
Oh, that ain't the kicker. The kicker is Skrull Rhodey went to Thanos' planet. You know when they killed him at?
Uh-huh.
That peaceful planet that had like farmland and like
Yeah,
probably nobody there.
Yeah.
So the Skrull knew about that planet. So and according to what they did, so that Skrull apparently didn't tell anybody that, hey, we have spaceships. We went to this other planet that has farmland and we could have our own civilization on it, but we're not going to go there because Nick Fury promises to find us another planet. Right? It's so stupid.
They don't connect the stories. That's just so messed up.
Right. So that is like I didn't even think about it until somebody brought it up, and I was like, yeah, that is so stupid. Like every Skrull on the Earth should have just left and went to that planet. Because if Thanos went there, more than likely there was nobody there.
Yeah.
So you got a perfectly livable planet, but no, we're gonna stay on Earth and blow everything up because we're pissed off because like Skrulls are idiots. But that's another thing. So that story, the person who wrote that is so stupid.
War when he was defense secretary. So he's been working in the government for a while now. And they basically explained that he became U.S. president by winning a recent election, presumably beating President Ritson. He was the recent president of the United States during the events of Secret Invasion. This is meant to be a bit of a time jump after that, and very timely because in the United States, in real life right now, we are getting ready to have another U.S. presidential election. This movie is coming out a couple months after that in February, when whoever wins that presidential election is going to be confirmed in office.
Simply press generate.
I gotta get Prime, dude. I'm still all these stupid commercials.
And if it wasn't clear, this introduction scene also explains that Sam Wilson has a relatively nice working relationship with Thunderbolt Ross. They're not enemies or antagonistic towards each other or anything like that. Mostly because, if you remember, Sam Wilson came up through the military, and so did Thunderbolt Ross. He's been a general for a long time. So he would have served under him at some point in the military. They would have had a long working relationship in the past and known each other very well. So you have one.
No, that's not how the military works.
You know, if I was Marvel, what I would do?
Mhm.
I'll hire Donald Trump as my president actor. You imagine that? You imagine that? I mean, I know.
Okay, that would be
Donald
insane.
Trump is a marketing genius. You know what I mean?
That
I'll
would
put
be-
him as president. And on the Marvel movie, it'll be hilarious.
Well, look, we already got the Civil War movie that just came out where they had a guy who is supposed to be
That might be a
25.
idea, man. That's smart.
No,
That's
no,
good business
no.
there.
All right. So we just had the Civil War movie that just came out, right? Where they had the guy who was the president who just happened to speak, talk, and kind of act like a certain orange former president who gets shot at the end of the movie. So that is kind of how Hollywood views this guy right now. So I can't. It will be entertaining, especially like the press junkets will be very entertaining. Best movie ever. You've never seen a Marvel movie like this one before. But like, all right. I don't know, dude. Again, I'm trying not to be black pill on this stuff, but I've heard certain things, and
One military
they
man
they
greeting another, so they
they basically are
understand each
reshooting.
other very well, but they're not bros or best buddies or anything like that. They just have a good working relationship.
So
And
they're
getting this red
basically
lollipop is also probably meant to foreshadow him eventually turning into Red Hulk during the movie. But when he tells Sam that he wants him to form the Avengers again, he replies, "What if we disagree on something? Then what happens?" And he's talking about what if the new Avengers disagree with Thunderbolt Ross and don't want to follow his orders or his requests, like they're not going to be his dogs of war. He's also kind of reminding him, what if there's another Captain America Civil War situation when they really come to a disagreement? Then they jump to a briefing scene where Thunderbolt Ross is talking to a bunch of cabinet officials, explaining that Sam Wilson and his sidekick Torres, who has become the new version of Falcon, just like he did in the comics, recently secured an important item in Mexico, thanking them for their help. His speech gets interrupted by an old song that begins playing on the PA system in the room. It wasn't clear what song was playing, but the song triggers programming in Isaiah Bradley, who's there with them, to go full on Winter Soldier Hydra on all the government officials in the room, trying to kill them and trying to kill Thunderbolt Ross. It's clear that he's been brainwashed, which is why I make the Winter Soldier Hydra brainwashing programming reference in the song triggered that programming. There's also another person in the room whose programming gets triggered and starts attacking people as well. It's not clear who brainwashed him, if they have any ties to Hydra, which was thought to have been wiped out before Avengers Endgame. Sam Wilson's Captain America tries to step in and defuse the situation, stop Isaiah Bradley from hurting anyone, but because Isaiah Bradley has super soldier powers, he throws Sam Wilson easily like a rag doll, then throws a table at everyone, even though he's an old man. Keep in mind what he looked like at the end of the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. Like, he is a very old man, but the super soldier serum inside him still makes him super quick and super strong. It's a real good reminder that even though old man Steve Rogers seemed super feeble when we saw him during Avengers Endgame, like, oh, what happened to him? He lost all his powers. No, he did not. He would still be super strong and super quick. Then Isaiah Bradley escapes by jumping out a window. After the dust settles, Thunderbolt Ross agrees with Sam Wilson that his inner cabinet, his inner circle here, has been compromised, saying that either you can't see them or you don't want to. This will probably inform his decision to become the Red Hulk eventually. Sort of like the opposite side of the Thanos, fine, I'll do it myself kind of situation, like, fine, I'll do it myself, and gives himself the powers of the Hulk. There's a couple more action scenes with several villains attacking Sam Wilson with electrically charged sticks. He stops them with his shield because Captain America's shield is vibranium and vibranium can absorb energy. Then Thunderbolt Ross tells him he's no Steve Rogers, just do your job, to which Sam Wilson replies, "You're right, I'm not Steve Rogers." This is probably the movie addressing a lot of people out there that aren't fans of Sam Wilson. Like, he's not Captain America. Steve Rogers is still Captain America. It sounds like Thunderbolt Ross is throwing the same kind of energy at him. Like, you might be wearing the title of Captain America, but we're just letting you have that title. There's no way you're nearly as great as Steve Rogers was. So a big part of the movie is Sam Wilson proving himself as Captain America, that he's worthy to be Captain America. They kind of
He's not. So that's enough of that. So does that sound interesting to you?
I'll still watch it.
All right. It's like he's not. And this was go ahead. No, you gonna say something?
What happened to Chris Evans? You don't want to do it no more?
No. All right.
Well, why not make what's that guy? The guy that
Bucky?
made, Jason Bourne, the actor. I always forget his name. Matt Damon?
Yeah.
Why not make him Captain America?
All right, because he's too old. You got to keep in mind, it's like anybody that they cast for any of this
Find a
stuff.
younger actor look like Chris Evans.
He doesn't have to look like Chris Evans. He just has to be a blonde dude, because that's what Captain America is. So anybody that they cast for any of this stuff, right, has to be at least be able to do this stuff for at least a decade, because that's kind of how they look at this stuff. All right, so that is why the new Superman is relatively young, and that's the reason why supposedly why they passed on Henry Cavill, because they wanted the person who is the character is going to be it for 10 years. It's like,
But in Spider-Man, remember they had different characters.
yeah, right, but it's usually a 10-year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like 3 movies. So like if a movie comes out every 2 years or 6 years, and then you got to throw in other appearances in there, so you're looking at 10 years.
Yeah, the
So
last Spider-Man was pretty good. I liked it.
right. So they're gonna
They
do
brought
3
those
more
actors
movies
back.
with they're gonna do 3 more movies supposedly with Tom Holland, and that's it. So
Oh,
and at that point he'll
then they just
be
changed, huh?
yeah. So they're either find another person to be Spider-Man or they start with Miles Morales, which is they've been pushing this forever. I'm not sure how many Spider-Man fans want Miles Morales. I mean, they like him in the cartoon, and they like him over here, but it's like the same thing. It's like, dude, Batman is Bruce Wayne, Superman is Clark Kent, Captain America is Steve Rogers. It's like that's who these characters are, and you trying to shove other people into them. It's
It's
just
like you're putting just say you put a Mexican as a Captain America.
yeah. You can create you can say that like Mexico had their own super serial because the Ultimate Universe version of all this stuff, all these people came about their own super soldier. So then you can say that Mexico had their own super soldier program, and then you can introduce a brand new character who has all of Steve Rogers' strength and speed and all that stuff, but he goes by a different name. It's very simple. But that's not how these people operate. He's
Like, remember
like,
the Russian had their own Captain America, and they came out that movie on Black. Was it Black Widow?
yeah, the Crimson Dynamo. Wait, not the
Yeah,
Crimson Dynamo.
that was the Russian Captain America.
Yeah, I forgot what his name is. Yeah, but yeah, he's an actual character, and that's exactly what happened. It's like they created their own. They did the Winter Soldier, which is Bucky, and then they went on to make
That was a bad
other
movie.
guy.
I like that one. The first one, the Captain America, that was a bad one.
Yeah, so you can do that. Like, you can apply that same thing to everything else. It's like they keep asking for, we need a black James Bond. I'm like, no, he doesn't have to be James Bond. He can be 008. You make a movie, you make a James Bond movie. He's working with another spy, says Idris Elba or whoever. They go on a whole thing. If people like the character, then you spin it off into its own thing. Then you still have James Bond, but you also will have this guy too, which is what they should do for any of these characters. Just create another character. Just call them a different thing.
Yeah, I agree with that part.
Yeah, because like Miles Morales should have his own name, and then he will be Spider-Man's sidekick or just like how you did in the first that first Miles
Just 'cause
Morales.
everybody thinks that everything's original, they could change it to it'll be much better. You remember how
That's
much back then when the Marvel movies they were making so much money,
Mhm.
and now they're not the same because they're trying to change everything. They would have just kept it simple,
Mhm.
the original thing, and then maybe create a new superhero or something like that. It'll
Yeah,
be more interesting.
it's like they forgot why this stuff
And they
works.
forgot how to write stuff.
No, actually, all right. Um, to go back to our previous discussion a little bit, it's like the older games. A lot of these game companies are the name only. Everyone who made the game company, that game company, left. They either retired, they're doing some other stuff. So you have BioWare, and they still put out Mass Effect games, but the people who wrote the Mass Effect game, who came up with the concepts and all that stuff, long gone. So now you got a bunch of people that you just hired, and they all like the localization person that I was telling you about earlier. So imagine one of those people in charge of, and they putting all these crazy ideas. I'm like, the people who are buying this game are buying it because it's a continuation of all this other stuff. They don't give a two shits about whatever new thing that you're adding to it. But that's the problem. Is each one of these things, the people are adding all this extra stuff that no one's interested in. And they know this because if they made an original character that was like all the stuff that they have, it's like no one would buy it. So they make all this stuff, and it's like indie games and indie comic books and indie books. Nobody buys them because they're not interested in that.
Yeah.
They just want a regular hero story. All right, so we're at the 55-minute mark. So we probably should talk about Shogun at least a little bit. So what did you think about episode 8?
It was crazy, especially at the end
Yeah.
when they were telling Toranaga to like, "You're crazy.
Mhm.
You should not go to Osaka." And then the guy Hiramatsu, the right hand man,
Yeah.
he was telling them, and then he's like, "Then basically telling them, then kill yourself, whatever."
Mhm.
And he said, "I'm gonna kill myself to change your mind." And he did it. And his
Yeah.
own son cut Buntaro, right? Buntaro,
Yeah.
he cut his head off.
Mhm.
And then at the end, it looks like he changed his mind. So
No.
basically, he killed himself, right, to change his
No.
mind.
What I think happened is, do you remember in the previous episode where the courtesan came in and she was like, I know you. I know you would not do these stupid things that you're doing. You apparently are doing. So I know you wouldn't let an army sneak up
Yeah, you're
on
talking
you.
about the whore, right?
Right. So she's
Yeah.
like, I like, dude, I know you. I know you wouldn't let this happen and this happen and this happen. And he's like, no. So for a little bit, I'm like, I was like, well, maybe he did. But then at the end, no, it's like, all right, remember what he said? He said that the Ajin and the uncle, right? The younger dude, they have single-minded, like a hawk. They're single-minded. It's like it doesn't take much to get them to go in the direction that you want them to go. And he can predict what they're gonna do.
Yeah,
Right.
he knows them.
Right. So imagine the person who thinks like that. So he knows that he cannot win. Like one of the things he's trying to avoid is destroying Japan, trying to save Japan from Ishido, right? So like, well, how do I do this? It's like he's trying to lull everybody into to thinking that he's something that he's like what's going on that's not. So when he's saying it at the end, it's like he knows his son is reckless. He knows his son is he probably didn't think that his son would go and slip on a rock and kill himself, but he probably assumed that his
But
son
he
was
knew
going
he
to do
was
something.
reckless.
Right. So his son was going to do something. Right. It's like, so is either if his son goes and he manages to kill his little brother, like, then that causes this to happen. So it's like, I think he had, I keep saying his plans on plans. Right.
Yeah, that's what I know. But at the end, when he was telling then surrender with me and die with me at Osaka, right? Remember when he
Right.
told him that?
Yeah.
Toranaga?
Mhm.
I think his name is Hiromatsu. What is
Yeah.
that? Hiromatsu.
Yeah.
But the guy, that's why I said I'm telling. My thing is that he killed himself to prove him to change his mind or the sacrifice that they all for what they fought together, and you're
Right.
just giving up. That's the
No, no,
point.
no. No, what I'm saying is that he didn't. It's like, remember when he talked to Mariko and he's like, are you ready? So he has plans.
No, yeah, I know.
Right.
I think he
So,
had a plan.
right. So you also got to factor in the society that we're talking about. Okay. So if he talks to his friend about, all right, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. All right. But I need you to do this. He would actually do that. He would actually do that in front of the other generals because they got a plan that he's working on. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I'm
Right.
trying to think what is his plan.
Right. So just like how when Blackthorn told everybody don't touch the friggin' like the bird, like the pheasant, or you're dead. It's like, all right, we need someone to play the spy or whatever, right? To keep his spies safe. So it's like, did they kill the guy because he did what like the guy told him not to do, or did they kill the guy so that they can say that he's the spy? So it's like it's multiple layers of scheming, and it's
So why
everybody.
Then why you think the guy killed himself? Hiromatsu.
It's the according to the plan. It's like his son does
Is
something
that because
stupid.
he disobey him?
No, I think, dude, part of me thinks that, like, because when he says that, when he's telling her about how Blackthorn went to the uncle dude to get him to do something, and the guy was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." But by his friend killing himself, it pushed him. It pushed him in the direction that he wanted him to go, which is to work with Blackthorn, with something that he wasn't going to do in the first place. So it just shoved him over into the direction that he seemed to want him to go. Right. So he makes a promise to the priest about how, yeah, you can have this land to build your church, but then he puts the church
Next
next
to
to the
whore.
whorehouse. Next to the whorehouse, which basically, and the look on the dude's face is like, this is what this dude actually thinks of you.
Yeah.
He said, you're in the same level as this whore over here, right? So that's what I said. It's like, dude, this dude got like plans on plans on plans on plans. So it's like, well, what is he actually planning? It's like, was he gonna he surrendered to buy time, because one, he lost a large chunk of his army
And the earthquake.
right? So he can't do whatever he was planning on doing before. He can't do that anymore because he lost a large chunk of his army.
But I
All
think is it Monaco, right? Monaco?
Mariko, yeah,
Mariko. She's
Yeah.
gonna go to Osaka.
right. So she's
You know,
and
trader.
right. So
she's going there.
that gets her, because of what happened at the end. Like, so those two working together. So as an interpreter, that gives her an excuse to go with them to wherever the hell they're going.
But remember, she's a warrior too. She could fight.
Right.
So you see her like a little Asian girl, but
Yeah.
she's a fighter. She's also she was trained how to fight.
Now, what I'm wondering is, what's Buntoro going to do? All right.
I
So
think he's still loyal, man.
no. What I mean by that is, so do you remember the tea ceremony, right? Which is a very it's like, you got to think about all this stuff in terms of their culture, right? So this tea ceremony is very important between husband, wife. Very important, right? It is rituals on top of rituals. So he does it to perfection. She compliments on it. Then he's like, when he asked her about how her feelings for the engine, for the white dude, she doesn't answer him. But that basically answers his question. So he's like, I know you want to die, and he's dealing with all this other stuff. It's like, why don't we do it together so that we can go into the afterlife? So then she basically tells him, I would rather live the life that I'm living this miserable life that I'm living right now for the next 1,000 years than to kill myself and
Because
be
he don't
tied
like
to
them.
you. Right. To be tied with you forever. And she tells that to his face. So in the same day, his wife tells him that, basically, I fucking hate you with every fiber of my being, and I only do what I'm doing because I have to. And I want you to kill me every day just to get away from your ass.
Yeah.
So the same day,
him.
right? So the same day, or at least the same, like maybe the next day, he has to cut his father's head off because his father stabbed himself. So I was like, that person is going to do some shit. So I'm wondering what the hell he's going to do next.
So why do you think he killed himself then? Why do you think Buntaro's dad killed himself?
Because they got some kind of plan. I don't know what the plan is.
So he basically sacrificed himself then?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
Again, think about their society. Yuki, the lady who is the head of Anjin's house, like when they were living when it was in the village, her husband kills himself and their son because he insulted somebody.
The counselor is there.
Right. So he killed himself. Yeah. So he kills himself and kills the baby, his son, right? Because of that. And then everyone convinces her to, even though she wants to kill herself, to no, this is your thing. So you gotta think about their society.
Oh yeah. That's why the dad told the son. Remember, Buntaro told you, no, you had to you had to live.
All right. So it is plan on top of plan on top of. So
That's what make it interesting to watch the next episode.
So what's crazy is normally if you get a show where there's a lot of stuff that you don't know, it's usually written kind of poorly. So it's like kind of thing, but it's not. This makes you think. It's like, all right, so what the hell? So when the old lady has a stroke, like the Takio's,
in Osaka,
right. When she has a stroke and she's in there, she feeds her. You remember the look that she had when the lady died? So she's crying or whatever as the lady is dying. And as soon as she's gone, so it's like, okay, what is she up to? So it's like, then the thing he did with the priest, fighting in front of the priest and looking sickly and looking like he's despondent, and then telling the priest to go tell everybody, I'm gonna give you this spot, but I want you to go tell everybody what you saw. All right. And then now you got his right hand man killing himself because he can't accept the fact that his lord is surrendering. Again, that gets out. So everybody got spies. So I'm like, man, what the hell? It's like, I can't wait to see what the hell 9 is going to be. This show is very good.
What are 2 more episodes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't like. There's a bunch of books. So I don't know. I wonder if they're going to adapt the other books.
Yeah, like they showed the trailer. Maniko, the girl, goes to Osaka, and they show a scene where she's like, gonna fight like 5 guys. On the new trailer.
Okay, so should be interesting though. I don't know. Supposedly, I saw someone said that Fallout supposedly might be good.
Which one? Fallout?
Do you remember the game? It's a 50s version of the future, and they lived in a bunker, and then they came out of the bunker, and everybody is like either radioactive monsters
or zombie or stuff.
No, well, they're just people who survive. So basically, what happened is in the 1950s, there was a world war or something like that, and they had a bunch of bunkers built, and if you either had enough money or I don't remember exactly how you got like selected to go into these things, but you go inside and you stay in there for a certain amount of time, and then you're supposed to come out and repopulate the earth. And they just assume that everybody outside is dead, right? So you living in this utopia built on the 50s, like 100 years later. All right, so you're stuck in the 50s until like 100 years later, right? So when you come out, again, you're in the Fallout thing. Everybody's dead. So you come out, they got like friggin' a bunch of humans survive. They have a bunch of factions. Is great chaos outside, and the world is full of radioactive monsters. So that's the essential premise.
Make it good. It should be good.
Right. So I heard that like it's out on Prime. So I heard that it's supposed to be good.
What's the name of it? Fallen, you said?
Fallout.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was telling Elton, it's like when this is over, we can talk about that. I don't know how relevant it's going to be at the time, but it should be interesting and something to talk about until House of Dragons come out. So yeah. All right. Are there any games tonight that you're gonna watch?
Dodgers rain delay right now.
Oh, are they playing in the Dodger Stadium?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I think it's supposed to rain till like 8. So
yeah, they can play with light rain, but not heavy rain.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So I am gonna eat something. Then I gotta get ready to go to work tomorrow, and I probably should edit this thing that I have. So I don't know. And I got to think about when I'm going to chop off for this particular episode and put probably the first part when we're talking about like the older shows and stuff like that. So I ask your permission. Can I use it? The you in part of it? That okay?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So to we had 3 eyeballs on this. So thanks for checking out the whole episode. In anyone who watches this in the future, please like, share, and subscribe, and all this other stuff. Join us at 7:00 California time on Saturdays.
Give you a thumbs up too.
Oh yeah, thumbs up is a must. So if you have any comments, please comment. So join in on our discussion. So I am Vaughn B. This is my man Ricky here, and this is the UN podcast. So you got any last words there, Ricky?
No, nothing. Just peace out. See you guys next time.
All right, later.